everyone,
and welcome to another episode of The Getaway Zone. In this episode we have a couple of overnighters in the southeast corner before heading west, our destination being Charlotte Plains.
on the way there we spend a couple of nights at Joe Beach Bridge Reserve about 70 kilometres west of Goondiwindi. We have an enjoyable time at Charlotte Plains, however the weather put a dampener on our planned 3-night stay and we had to leave early and travel further west, finishing this episode at Yowah. Kick back and join us for this episode. Hope you all enjoy it.
Follow me down, there's no one around. Lay back and take your socks and shoes right off. That natural light is so damn polite, can make you feel just like you were young again.
We're just doing a couple of overnighters as we make our way towards the west. Last night we stayed at Toogoolawah at a free camp just in the edge of town, well almost in the centre of town actually. Shops are just up that way behind me, and it's a lovely little free camp, only ran for about 6, 7, maybe 8 vans tops, but it was very nice. No facilities here obviously, although there is a water tap here. You do need one of those little 4-way spannery things to access it though, as there's no top one. We're staying for another overnight at Kabala, just north of Toowoomba. It's a pub, the Farmer's Arms Tavern, and free camping at the back, which is at the back of the pub and right beside the showgrounds. We have stayed here once before, nice place to stay, and the pub meals are beautiful. And it's bloody cold being Toowoomba, but they have a fire going inside the pub, so looking forward to that. Show you a few pictures around the pub later on this evening. And this is our setup here, so very pleased.
We had an enjoyable evening catching up with family, and the following day we set out for Joe Beach Bridge Reserve.
Down a bit of a tight patch here. We'd have to break a few twigs off so we weren't scratching on the van, but we're getting in.
Just us here, nobody else around, just the birds, just a light breeze blowing. Paul's getting the fire sorted, so we're going to have a fire tonight, which will be lovely. And what I'm mostly looking forward to is that sunset. That's going to be tops because it's going to be coming straight through those trees. Paul and I particularly love camping out in the bushland, so we can get to hear all the birds. What's your problem, babe?
It's bloody childproof, that's the problem. Yeah, 10-year-old kid to help me out.
Childproof and old man proof. He's conquered it. Well done.
Man triumphed over product from Bars's Incorporated. We've just arrived at Joe's Beach Bridge Reserve. It's a nice little camping area. We're just up from it's a dry riverbed, but we have a nice outlook here. Heaps of timber around, so we will cook tonight.
You know what I find nice about these places is that it's just us
Yeah.
and the birds.
Yep.
It's really, really beautiful, peaceful, great little place to just, relax.
So when you arrive here at this campsite, we pulled up at first near the actual bridge itself, and there was a nice flat area there and a few other spots where it looked like people had camped previously. It wasn't too bad, but you were pretty close to the road there.
Very close.
Okay.
Very close.
Yeah, very close. Walked down a little bit further, had a look around, and there were some other spots, but they were a bit overgrown. It looks like no one had been there for a while, but we ventured a bit further, about probably 300 metres from the roadside, and found this lovely spot. It was tight getting in.
Yeah, but not that tight. There was just a few little branches that were sticking out that you managed to get that out the road.
Snapped them off because they were scratching our brand new van, so they got snapped.
What I'm looking forward to is that beautiful sunrise just over there in the east above the gum trees. It's going to be awesome.
And if we can brave the cold, we'll get out in the morning for a coffee and enjoy this.
Yeah, definitely.
We were sort of not sure whether we'd do 1 or 2 nights here because we do have a phone call appointment tomorrow afternoon, and we thought we'll probably have to leave here and head towards Ninda Gully pub. But we're getting phone reception here, so we'll probably stay the 2 nights and enjoy it. Chilly.
It sure is. I think
Beautiful.
It's going to be a really cold night tonight. Wouldn't you today?
Cheers, bud.
Oh. Cheers.
Bit chilly this morning. It's currently 6 degrees, but it was quite a bit cooler around 6 a.m. I don't know what the temperature was, I didn't check then. It's now 8:30 and it's a beautiful morning. The birds are out and we're going to go for a walk along the mostly dry creek bed this morning and have a bit of a look around and collect a bit of timber and get ready for another fire this evening. But it's a beautiful location, we're quite enjoying it here. Nice and quiet away from the crowds of the southeast corner that we've had for last week. We had a toasty fire last night. Cooked our sausages on the barbie or on the fire and ate our meal outside, but we only stayed out till about 7:30. It was starting to get a bit cool, so we then went inside, but the fire was beautiful. We're loving our outdoor cooking area. This is a fantastic little thing here with the large drop-down table, I guess you could call it.
Oh, it's excellent. So you don't have all that fat spattering all over the place and the fumes and everything. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and I love the way they've got it all set up, and of course I've got my battery charging there as well.
Yeah.
And even though I don't have it open, we do have the barbecue slide here, which is just the gas option instead of electrical option.
Such a lovely little spot, and it's like stepping into an enchanted forest. It really is. It's beautiful. Paul and I particularly love these Aussie bush settings where we can just sit back and relax, hear the birds chirping. What a glorious spot. It's that time where we're ready to pack up and head off to our next destination. Not sure where that is at this point.
Well, we're on our way to Charlotte's Plains for 2 nights. Looking forward to this. It's sort of one that we've almost went to about 2 years ago, but it was too wet. So looking forward to some swimming in the artesian bores, or the channel, or whatever it is. I hope it's nice and warm anyway. So we've left St George on our way through towards Charlotte Plains, which is near Cunnamulla. The road out here is pretty rough. It is bitumen, of course, but it's not smooth at all. Well, the last time we drove this road was 2 years ago, and there was a big rain event, and we were leaving Cunnamulla because we had nowhere to stay, and there was parts of this road had 20 centimetres of water across the road. Much different now, very dry, but that was a bit of a scary drive, that one. Curry goat.
Oh, how easy it's to forget. Still thinking about how we met. Yeah, I'm with you now. Oh, one thing that it's plain to see, the best thing in this life's for free, and that's so true now.
Well, we've just arrived at Charlotte Plains.
Well, the road in anyway.
Well, the road in, yes. And it looks a bit muddy.
Well, I think it only opened about 4 days ago, so the road's perfectly dry now though, but muddy on the edges, so don't drive off. It was a long drive, 6-hour drive today, so it's longer than I would like. I'm a bit exhausted actually. But it was only about 380k, but that road between St George to Bowl it was really very rough. Most of the time we're only sitting on 85 to 90, slowing down to 80 at parts. It was a bit of a shocker for a bitumen road. But anyway, we're here now. Oh, only got 4k to go, 4k of dirt.
And Paul's getting ready to put up the drone.
Hoping just to get by, without knowing it, I played it by heart, and now I sing, I'm with you, I'm with you. Oh, we're cruising down to Mexico, I'm turning up the radio, 'cause I'm with you now. You and me, we know that love is in the air, like the wind blowing through your hair. Oh, I'm with you now. I was waiting for the summer to end, thinking about the good times that we had. They will never come back again, but I'm happy as can be. And now I'm thinking,
A nervous driver.
don't care about
Doesn't
what
like
others
mud.
say.
Well,
When
it's
I'm
looking
with
fairly
you
crowded down there.
Hey.
through the autumn and the winter,
Unlike our last spot where we were the only
telling all
campers,
the friends we know.
I can see about 30 vans by the looks of it.
Remember when my world was falling apart, hoping just to get by, but without knowing it, I still play.
Oh, we've just booked in. lovely lady there, whose name I've already forgotten. It's pretty much said we can park wherever we like. But she said if we want to go down and have a look down that side, there is some sort of riverfront parking, but as long as we reverse the van into it. So we'll have a look. His idea was this: it's bloody cold. Well, yesterday afternoon when we arrived, we felt the water and it felt really very warm. So now we're braving it. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning, I think, and it's still pretty chilly.
Yep,
so
sure
it's the walk there that's a little bit cold, but I reckon the walk back is going to be much worse when we're wet. Well, we found our 2 tubs over here on the edge. And, oh, that water's hot.
Oh, is it?
That feels good. CNC. Okay, now I'm bloody cold. I'm getting in that water. We're in. So, the water is hot. I don't know what temperature it is. I'll have to find out and put it on the bottom of the screen. But probably because we're so cold, getting your feet in was the worst part. But once you settle in, it's beautiful. It really is gorgeous. What a location. Hot spot. Might have to try the pond when we get out of here, I think. Walking that wet, that's not going to be much fun.
Is the life. This is the life for me.
If you're out in this area of Western Queensland, near Cunnamulla, I'd recommend giving Charlotte Plains a try. Just on the basis of the beautiful artesian baths. There are supposed to be walking tracks around here as well, but we really haven't investigated at the moment. But we've still got the full day ahead of us.
How can you go away from this?
Yeah, that's it.
It's freezing cold outside and it's steamy warm inside this tub.
I'm keen to actually try that pond and see how close I can get to that water coming out of there. It might be just too hot.
Check out those clouds.
Beautiful.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is so warm.
It's a little cloudy today, but I don't think they look like rain clouds really. Beautiful here, but I wouldn't dare get underneath that water. Oh, that's a bit of a dampener. More ways than one. Do we leave today or not? We'll have to think about that one. What do you think?
It was phenomenal. It was absolutely beautiful.
It really was. Very, very enjoyable just
Yep.
soaking up in those hot tubs, and they were nice and hot. Just gorgeous. And the walk back was nowhere near as bad as we thought. Like,
Well, it wasn't when I put on my nice warm coat.
no, because it's warmed up a little bit since we went over earlier this morning. We were probably there for over an hour, and
Yeah.
it was even a beautiful walk back. So I thought that would be the worst part. Wasn't the case.
It's not.
Beautiful. Now we just got to decide after looking at the blackboard whether we stay here or not. Forecast of possible rain. Anyway, I might wait a few more hours before we make a decision and see if that forecast firms up or not. And nothing like a bit of muddy driving, I say.
No, that's not going to happen.
And this was when the GoPro audio died and much of the footage for the rest of the day could not be used.
I just love the traveller's wave, particularly zoners. It's always so enthusiastic.
We pulled into the Patabilla Boar and bird watching area, which would have been a great stop for a night or two. But once again, with the impending rain, we decided not to stay and moved on to Eulo. Yesterday, the media mod on our GoPro died, which meant that, and we didn't realise, so for the entire day yesterday we have no audio, which is very disappointing. So it pretty much throws away that day's footage. It worked at the hot tubs and then didn't work for the rest of the day. So that's really disappointing. It's the second major malfunction I've had with GoPro. I think I'm going to toss GoPro and go to DJI. I'm not very happy. The 11 that we have died completely on the last trip and we just had to rely on our iPhones. And now this trip we're 3 weeks in, or not even 3 weeks in, and I can't use the mics or the good quality audio anymore. I've got the average audio on this, so it's a little disappointing. But anyway, just have to put up with that until we get back home and fix it up. We've woken up to a bit of rain this morning, which had been forecast. It's only a light rain, but already people are disappearing from this spot. So I think we will pack up shortly. It's only about 7:30 and we'll head off before it gets a bit sticky in here, but it's still okay at the moment. It's only a very light rain. We've had a few overcast days, but this is our first day where it's actually been raining, so we've done pretty well. I think we're on day 20 for this trip. We haven't been plugged into power yet, so the solar panels are filling us up every day, even on the cloudy days, which is pretty good. This morning there's only half an amp coming in because, well, the sun's only just come up and it's very overcast, so not much coming in this morning. And we're down to about 77% on the battery because I was working for a few hours last night on the computer editing videos, so it's drained a bit down with the inverter going.
It's cold.
Well, it's still raining. We've just arrived at Yowah, I think it's pronounced. Had a look at the free camp down at the rest area. It looked perfectly fine, but it is fairly muddy obviously because it's raining. So we've come up to the caravan park, Artesian Waters Caravan Park. An overnighter unpowered side is $20, so we'll do that. We've got 87% battery, so we'll be right for 24 hours. Well, we've set up in the park and we've relented. We've connected to power. We didn't really need the power, and I was trying to see how long we could hold off with not having power. We needed water, so we might as well connect to power all at the same time as collecting the water. It's still pretty wet around the place. It has finally stopped raining. It has been raining heavy, just a light rain, enough to leave puddles lying around on the surface everywhere. So hopefully the weatherman's right and we'll clear enough tomorrow and we'll find out what we're doing. Well, we thought we'd go for a bit of a drive around Yowah to see the sights, and we finished. There's not much here really.
Well,
there is a museum here, which got a little bit of footage of. We didn't go inside and have a look, and I'm not sure it's open actually, but anyway. They don't have a pub.
well, they don't want a cop in the town, so they don't.
Apparently, according to the information sheet we're having at Hot Little Hands, they contemplated a pub, but realised the pub would come with a cop for some reason. I don't know why. And they decided they didn't want a cop, so they didn't want a pub either. Anyway, there are artesian baths here. It's an opal display, so we're going to go and have a look at that now. So Yowah is one of those small opal mining communities, and we're just going to go and have a look at their opal display centre. Like many of these small little opal towns out back, they look a bit wild and woolly. So we're just going to go inside and have a bit of a look around.
Lovely. Is it okay to just have a little look around? Yeah. Thank you.
From where, sorry?
White cliffs.
Oh yeah, yep.
And some of the set stuff.
So, my goodness, isn't that amazing?
One of their mines produces it.
Yeah,
Wow.
that is incredible.
Well, that was interesting. I mean, when I first walked in here, I was sort of looking in the door and the place was in darkness almost. I was thinking Wolf Creek, but but Trafford was a lovely bloke to chat with us. Trafford told us some old stories about the floods, terrible floods in 1990, or the floods were here obviously, and yeah, it was quite interesting.
Beautiful opals.
Yeah, very beautiful opals, and you almost bought something.
Almost.
She resisted.
It's close.
Well, we've just left our overnight stay at Yowah. We really only just went in there to get away from, find somewhere solid to park the van with all this rain that was around yesterday.
Rain and sticky mud.
Yeah, sticky mud, that's for sure. It was an interesting town. It's an opal mining town, a bit like a smaller version of Lightning Ridge, I suppose. If you're into fossicking or into opals and stuff like that, it'd be an interesting place to visit. And we did have a look at one of the opal display centres while we were there. The caravan park we stayed at was nice. It's a gravel base, not bitumen or anything, but the rain wasn't an issue. It was only $30 a night for a powered site. And they've got a little general store at the front, which has a range
Yeah, it's
of...
fairly packed. Like
Yeah,
it had a lot of frozen goods as well, like your meats and breads and whatnot.
Yeah, so it's a pretty good little general store actually. And
Rose is very, very friendly.
Rose is friendly. You can buy diesel there at the caravan park. It was $2.46, which is getting up there a bit, so I didn't fill the tank. I took us up to 3/4. But yeah, we enjoyed our overnight stay there. Now we're on our way to Quilpie, or we might stop at a pub on the way there whose name I've forgotten, but I'll put it on the bottom of the screen. We were considering staying overnight at the Toompine Hotel, but on arrival we could see the area was a bit too muddy and we didn't want to park the caravan in amongst that mud, so we stayed for a lunch only.
Well, we've just left Yowah, which was a town without a pub, and we've arrived at Toompine, which is a pub without a town. That's really bizarre.
Looks all right.
Looks lovely. I love these outback.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely have coffee. Not wine. And what are you having for dessert? And this is Michelle here, who's making cappuccinos for us, so we're looking forward to that. Michelle's from Ireland, which you can tell from the accent when she said Targaminda. Well, that's a nice little stopover at the Toompine Hotel.
It was
Yeah.
lovely. Got to meet Sue and Rob.
Sue and Rob, who
Yeah.
are travelling from, they're from
Wagga.
Wagga.
Yeah.
They've just come from Quilpie on their
Hi
way
Sue, hi
south.
Rob.
Interesting couple, telling us all about their travel in Western Australia. And the caramel slice there was excellent. It's one of the best caramel slices I've had actually.
So
With it.
apparently the recipe comes from Donna Hay.
Yeah, so the publican said. So it was it's got like a crumble on top instead of
An
your
oat
usual
crumble.
chocolate or what crumble?
Oat crumble.
Yeah, it was very nice, whatever it was. So, but one thing I did like, and that was from Sue and Rob were telling us about it, they've got a book called Pubs of Outback Australia or something like that. And they're working their way through, ticking off each of the pubs as a destination to go and see. I thought that was a fantastic idea, and that was one of the pubs, the Toompine Hotel. There's about 50 odd pubs in the book, which is a lot of pubs to visit and have a beer at, or a coffee like today.
We have coffee.
Yeah. So we did get that book. We purchased it at the Adavale pub, but you'll see that in the next episode, and that brings this episode to an end. On to Quilpie we are now. We're going to stay at the lake in Quilpie.